Hey, and welcome to the latest episode of The Sales Circle, your sales-based podcast that is designed, it's written, it's produced to help you make more sales. Maybe you're listening to this as a salesperson, maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a CEO, maybe you're a business owner, founder, or a salesman, whatever it is, right? I'm hoping, my intention is that this podcast will allow you to make more sales and to do so in an ethically holistic yet proactive and fun manner. My name is Rob Spence, your host of The Sales Circle. I'm an internationally renowned sales trainer, sales author, sales coach, and I've been hosting The Sales Circle for quite a few weeks now. We're actually in season 2. Season 1 was a bit of a pilot, I'll be honest, but please do go check some of those episodes out. We've got some great interviews with some great entrepreneurs. And season 2, we've been sort of covering off some of the most sought after, the most asked sales-related questions, topics, and so on and so forth. And today's episode is no different. We're going to be covering off. Now, I'll be honest, we're going to be covering off what I thought was one of the most basic elements of sales, one of the most easiest parts of sales that everyone knows, understands, gets, and understands where it all fits in, right? The reason I put together this episode is because I was training a team recently and I mentioned the word qualifying, and all I got was blank spaces. No, I didn't. I got blank faces. All I got was people looking at me, what's qualifying? What does it mean? I don't get that. And it kind of put me on the back foot, to be honest, because I thought that, it kind of made sure we had to kind of go back and cover off qualifying. So we're going to talk about qualifying. What is qualifying? What does it mean? And how can you qualify prospects? Before we get into the main episode, take a moment, please do hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button if you're watching over on YouTube. And let's get started, shall we? So when we're dealing and working in sales, no matter what you sell, no matter what your business is, no matter what your industry is, no matter what you're selling, you will have some form of sales process. You may not know it exists. You may not know it's there. The company you work for may not have communicated that with you. You may have been doing it so long, you don't think about it anymore. You don't understand, where your customer is. And just to kind of, dig a bit deeper into the terminology of sales process, you may not understand, you're taking a customer from start zero, right the way round a bit of a ring, round a cycle, right through to the bit where actually they know you, they like you, they know the product, the services, they've overcome objections, relationship has been built, we've closed a sale and aftercare and everything else in between. One of the key elements of that sales process, one of the key elements of that kind of sales cycle is the qualifying. It's something that some of us may naturally do without knowing it. Some of us may go through a process. And if I kind of hit the nail on the head, I've written down a definition I found online. Qualifying is the process of determining whether a lead is a good fit for your product or service based on their needs, budget, decision-making, and timeline. But really simply, when we're qualifying a lead, a prospect, we're making sure that we're a good fit, okay? As always, I believe sales should be a win-win-win situation for everyone involved. And sometimes as salespeople, we can spend too long sort of spending time on those that just won't buy from us, okay? Now, I'm an optimist. I believe that our job as salespeople, to some degree, is to convince and to actually sell, okay? So to some degree, people don't need to be the absolute perfect fit. But remember, you cannot sell ice to the Eskimos. You cannot sell something to someone that truly doesn't want it, doesn't need it, doesn't have the money for it, isn't the right person to be asking, and so on and so forth, right? So what we've got to make sure is that as salespeople, we're not wasting time. Now, the qualifying phase of any sales process is important. We've got to hit it bang on the nail in the head, because if we make assumptions, if we assume someone is unqualified, that they can't afford to buy from us or aren't the right fit for us, we could be leaving money on the table. We've all heard those stories, haven't we, where CEOs, millionaires, crypto millionaires walk into car show dealerships, Harley Davidson dealerships, and they stand there in just normal standard clothes and they're ignored and they're wasted and they walk away and take their business elsewhere. We've all heard those stories. So we cannot make assumptions when we're qualifying. But on the same time, we've spent hours, sometimes weeks, sometimes years working on a lead, working on a prospect, just to realize they're not the right fit, just to realize they can't afford us, just to realize that they're not actually the right decision maker in the company, that we need to make sure we need to be sort of spending our time as salespeople on the right people. So if we're to kind of nail those down into three little points, right? Qualifying matters because it stops you wasting time, okay? Your time is limited. We did a podcast episode recently where we were talking about actually spending time doing sales-based activities. You've only really got somewhere between 8 to 10 hours in your working day, right? Maybe 12 if you're a true professional. You don't want to be wasting time on those that literally cannot buy from you. If you focus your time on those that are the right fit, lo and behold, you've got a better chance of dealing with the right people that are ready to buy from you. That then gives you the chance to speak to high potential opportunities. Why would you be sort of wasting your time on those that literally cannot afford you, can't buy from you, when there's those that can? And of course, it allows you to build confidence in your pipeline. Some salespeople, and these are the frauds and the fraudsters of the sales world, you know, you ask them, how's your pipeline looking? Oh, really good, really healthy. Got millions in the pipeline. And actually, when you dig deep, you're like, well, actually, they're not good. They're not the right fit. They're not going to buy from you. They've gone quiet. They've ghosted you. They've not got the money for you. Lo and behold, when you get into that pipeline, you go, oh, actually, yeah, maybe you're right. We all know those salespeople, right? If we're honest with ourselves, we can dequalify leads and prospects pretty quick. Although, yes, in the short term, our sales pipeline's then going to look pretty dry. But what happens when you've got a dry pipeline? You're more productive and more proactive to go out there and to get some sales, to prospect, to cold call, to send LinkedIn messages and everything else in between, right? You see where I'm going with this. Qualifying is an important phase, and we're going to go through some really simple ways and tricks in which you can qualify. But I have no doubt you're probably qualifying yourself anyway, just without maybe potentially knowing that you do. Got some statistics to kind of set the stage here. Now, I've got this one from Marketo. This is the first statistic we've ever dragged up from Marketo. So they say that 50% of sales reps' time is wasted on unproductive prospecting. We were saying earlier that if you're not qualifying your leads, if you're not qualifying your prospects, then of course you're going to end up wasting your time somewhere in between. And this statistics from Marketo suggests that half of our time is spent on the wrong people. Those that can't afford us, those that don't want us, that don't have a need, that aren't the right decision maker. Now, if I were to tell you that you could improve your sales by 33%, would you be happy? I think so, right? Sales teams that use effective qualifying methods are 33 times more likely to meet or exceed their targets. Now, that's a statistic taken directly from Salesforce. So 33% more likely to meet or exceed their targets when they use effective qualifying methods. So my intention here with this podcast today, in this episode, is to see you increase your sales by 33%. If that's not a soundbite, I do not know what is. So let's go through some really simple procedures and processes that you can start utilizing today. Now, in terms of methods, every company, everyone's going to be completely different, however they qualify their leads. And some of that will be based on what it is you sell. Some of it will be based on your targets. But we've got two methods that we can talk about. Now, the most common way of qualifying prospects is the BANT method, B-A-N-T. Okay, many people have heard this and will know and understand it, but we'll kind of break that down. So we've got budget, authority, need, and time. So put simply, does your prospect have the right budget for you? Can they afford you? Do they have the right money? Is their company turning over enough money? Have they actually allocated a budget for this kind of thing? Are they ready to put their hands in their pockets and actually buy from you? Now, of course, we want to make sure that our prospect actually has the authority to be the right decision maker, to make the decision, to be the decision maker. We've all had it. We speak to a company and we've developed a great relationship and they go, yeah, I'm the person that makes the decisions around here. We go through our whole sales process and then lo and behold, they go, yeah, all sounds great. I just now need to clear it with such and such. I now need to bring in A, B, and C. And you go, oh my God. So you've spent all this time developing a relationship and lo and behold, you've been pitching to the wrong person. Now, a caveat to this is I'm a big believer that we should try and sell to everyone within a prospective company. If you sell well enough to everyone within that prospective company, you can build fans, you can build influencers. You can build an insider sales team, right? So sometimes I think it's very rude, derogatory, and short-sighted to nullify those that aren't the key decision maker. And I extend that out to gatekeepers and those that pick up the phone, even the janitors. We should be showing everyone with the same amount of respect so that they can help us help our customers. But of course, early on in the decision-making process, we need to ask the question or thereabouts of, just so I know for future, is it only you involved in this decision-making process, or is there a committee? Is there a team? Is there anyone else I should be sending this to? Everything else in between. We need to make sure that our prospect has a need. We can't sell ice to the Eskimos, right? There's no point in selling ice to the Eskimos. They've got enough ice, right? We need to be selling to those that actually have a need and a desire for our products and services. Now, normally if someone's reached out to you, one would argue that they do have a need for whatever it is that you are selling. But of course, if we're doing external prospecting, we need to ensure that they've got a need for us. If they've got a need, it makes everything so much easier and straightforward when it actually comes to selling. Now, of course, the T in BANT stands for time. We need to ensure that that person is willing to make a decision or make a purchasing decision within a timely manner, within the right time frame that we need. My caveat to this is this, okay? Every sales cycle is going to be different. Sometimes, I've dealt with clients who, sell high-tech financial software. The buying cycle could be 2 or 3 years, right? It takes a long time. Other companies I work with and work for and represent, their sales cycle is 3 months. They want to make sure that whatever they're dealing with is sold and bought through within 3 months. So once again, you could be speaking to someone and they're not willing to buy for another 5 or 6 months, or they're tied into a contract for 7 or 8 months or whatever. Once again, you could probably quickly dequalify this lead quite quickly. Once again, my caveat, my word of warning is the earlier you plant the seed, the easier that decision-making process is later on. And if you're not planting the seed, then potentially your customer is. So I sometimes get frustrated when customers are like, yeah, if they're not ready to move within 3 months, sod them off, get rid of them, don't want to deal with them, don't want to talk to them. Yeah, you're kind of missing the point. You're kind of missing the trick. Of course, you can focus quite heavily on those that are ready to move within 3 months, but lo and behold, if we plant the seed and just slowly nurture it, slowly look after it, slowly kind of support that client, they could be ready to buy from you in 6 months' time. So that's BANT, so budget, authority, need, and time. We've got the MEDDIC variety as well. This probably goes a bit deeper, but pretty much kind of aligns with BANT. This one stands for metrics, economics buyer, decision criteria, decision process, identifying the pain, and being a champion or champion. The MEDDIC one is a lot more in depth and will take a lot more time to train and coach and guide and sort of talk through all the elements. So if you do want to dig deeper into the MEDDIC method, then please, let's book out some sales training time together. Let's book in some time together where we can work on MEDDIC and how that utilizes within your company. For now, I'd say, look, focus on BANT. BANT is the easiest, quickest, straightforwardest way. Now, how do we do that then? How do we qualify? Now, the big thing that you'll get with any of my sales training or any of my, Sales Circle podcasts or any of my work is the best thing a salesperson can ever do is communicate. So to do that, we need to be asking open-ended questions. We don't need to go straight to the point. What's your budget? Are you the authority? Do you have a need? When do you want to buy this? Very aggressive, very upfront, very judgmental to some degree. But we can ask open-ended questions. Hey, look, have you guys set aside a budget for this? Or what is your budget for this kind of thing? What do you normally spend on this every year? And just so I know, so I can send the documents to the right person, is there anyone else involved in the decision-making process, or is it just yourself? And with all the features and benefits I've just described to you and the kind of the pain points you have told me, do you think that this will be a good fit for you? And with that all in mind, when do you think you'd be wanting to kind of move on this? Those 4 questions straight away has allowed me to understand their budget, has allowed me to understand the decision maker, it's allowed me to understand their needs, their wants and desires, and I can understand their time frame. So if we're asking questions, we are going to get a better result. Now, this statistic is taken from the RAIN group. They go on to say that sales rep who ask insightful questions are 54 times more likely to close deals. You're you're going to 54% more likely to close deals if you ask questions. Now, when you get into those conversations and ask those questions, don't be afraid to listen out for the red flags, okay? So they could be a lack of urgency. Yeah, we'll move on it soon. We'll deal with it later. We'll probably do it after Christmas, X, Y, Z. Vague answers as well and conflicting priorities are normally red flags. Now, once again, you will own that relationship. You will know whether you can probe further or whether it's best to sit back. But I always recommend to probe. As soon as you start to pick up on those red flags, you should start to think, actually, yeah, I need to kind of either further qualify this person or disqualify or focus my attentions elsewhere. They could just say, yeah, we're exploring options. We're just getting some ideas at the minute. We're probably not ready to move forward until the next quarter. The more questions you ask, the better an insight you'll get into your prospects. Of course, you can use technology to score leads. Now, the scoring of leads is something I sit on the fence with, but once again, we can utilize CRM systems to kind of gauge the scoring of a client. You could just use a simple 1 to 10 method. What's the likelihood that they're gonna go through? You can use some complex formulas to kind of say, well, it's a 4 rating for their budget, but a 10 rating for their authority and a 2 rating for their need, and then go, all right, out of 40, they're a 32. You can use technology. CRM systems kind of naturally have it built in. Monday.com is a CRM system that I tend to recommend. I always drop a link below to a link to allow you to get a free demo of Monday.com. So if you're starting out a business and looking for a simple to use, there is a free trial and a free user account to use on Monday.com. So I'll drop a link below for you for that. Now, don't be afraid to continuously qualify. Just because one answer is one thing today doesn't mean it won't be another answer for another day. So just as you're communicating, as you're developing that relationship, as you're getting to know your prospects and your leads, continuously qualify. The more you ask questions, remember, the more likely you are to close more deals. Just a quick heads up, our first book to accompany this podcast, The Sales Circle, is being written and shall be published very, very, very soon. It's a great chance for you to enhance your sales skills while supporting the podcast even further. To be added to the VIP list, please email thesalescircleofficial@gmail.com. Now, before we come on to the listener question segment of the podcast, we had a story come in. This one's from a guy called Tom. Thank you for listening, Tom. Much appreciated. He said he used BANT, helped him realize a prospect didn't have the budget for a service and just saved him weeks, he's put, of wasted effort. And I think, look, that's a really valid point. Look, as I said earlier, I'm an optimist, okay? I think that as salespeople should be proactive, productive, and salesy enough to actually convert someone to buy from us. Not in a manipulative way, but in a win-win-win situation, right? But that being said, I've wasted hours. I've wasted so much time on prospects. I've wasted so much time. Even today, I've lost a client and I missed out on the red flags. I was picking up so many red flags and I missed out on them. Brief story, and I'll change names and I'll change services just out of respect. This individual contacted me for some telemarketing and lead generation work. It all sounded really promising, but they did say things along the lines of, look, I really need to make this happen. It's kind of a last swing at throw the dice. Can we get this done as soon as possible? We need to get this done. And we booked in some onboarding time to go through a bit of a consultation phase, so I know exactly what kind of leads they want and everything else in between. And we'd booked it all in, got an email last night to say, look, Rob, we're going to have to cancel. I've been in denial. Business isn't that good. We don't really have the budget. It's been a bad quarter for us. I need to kind of take stock and see where we are. So that's that deal gone. Now, of course, I've spent hours with this individual. I've spent hours in meetings. I've booked things into my diary. I was just starting to kind of get my head around the campaign. So I've wasted hours on this person. But I'm the only one to blame. I didn't qualify this person well enough, nor did I pick up on the red flags as we were speaking. So I want you to learn from my mistakes. I want you to pick up where I've gone wrong so that you can qualify quicker and not waste the same time, energy that I have. Let's meander quickly into listeners' questions, shall we? A part of the podcast that I love, I love my listeners' questions, and I'm really thankful for everyone that sends them in. Of course, if you do have a question, if you've got a topic you want to talk about, please do write in. You can send me a a LinkedIn message. You can send us a message anywhere on social media. You can drop a comment on social media, or you can email thesalescircleofficial@gmail.com, which is exactly what Lisa did. So Lisa, thanks for this one. How do I politely disqualify a lead that doesn't fit my criteria? What a great question. And why didn't I think about this when I was writing up my show notes? Yes, absolutely fantastic question, Lisa. Thank you so much. We've talked about qualifying, the importance of qualifying, but what actually happens when someone isn't the right fit? Look, I think in this situation and scenario, honesty is your best policy, okay? You don't want to waste your time, and at the same time, you don't want to waste your prospects' time. I think as you're qualifying and you pick up that actually they're not the right fit or it's not the right thing, we can politely withdraw ourselves from the situation and say, look, I've really enjoyed getting to know you. I appreciate everything you've told me. From what you've kind of described, I don't think we are truly the right fit for you. And let me explain that. Let me explain why I don't think we're the right fit for you, and go on to explain. If maybe they've alluded to the fact they don't have the right budget, you could say, where's the effect of, look, I appreciate you being really honest with me. Just for me to put my cards on the table, our prices start at X, and that's where you get all of this value. Now, obviously, I think there's a bit of a crevice and a bit of a gap between your budget and our requirements. Is that budget negotiable at all? And if it's not, we say, look, I'm sorry to have wasted your time, but I really appreciate getting to know you. Shall I reach out to you next year, see how things are going, see if it's something that we can talk about then? If maybe they're not ready to move in the right amount of time, we say, yeah, absolutely. Look, I understand that you're probably going to sit on this for 6 to 8 months. Just so I manage your expectations, what I'll do is I'll reach out to you in about 4 months' time. I've got some other clients that I'm dealing with at the moment that kind of just require a bit of focus because they want to move now. But what I'll do is if we can just stay in touch, I'll drop you a message from time to time. What if I reach out to you in May and we'll carry on that conversation then? If they're not the right authority, we could say words to the effect of, look, no, fantastic. I'm glad there's more than one person in this buying-making process, in the decision-making process. Sometimes a committee is so much better than just one person. We all know it's not. Why don't we book a group call? Do you reckon I could get everyone together maybe Tuesday? And I'll tell you what, why don't I pop into the office? I'll bring everyone some biscuits. I'll introduce myself to everyone. There are ways that you can do that. But don't be afraid, I think, Lisa, just to be afraid to be honest, be thankful and step away. This one's from Anonymous. What's the best way to qualify a lead during a cold call? I guess in this scenario, we are talking about an external cold call. So obviously, well, of course, it is. We're making a cold call outright. Once again, we just need to ask open-ended questions. We don't want to be, do you have the budget? Are you the authority? Do you have a need? But if we're pitching and we're talking and we're communicating and we're picking up all these clues and these cues and these ideas that maybe they're not the right fit, that's then when maybe we need to disqualify and step away from the conversation. You can still maintain that relationship. You can maybe take that communication down to an email or a LinkedIn conversation. Or once again, as we said to Lisa a second ago, we can just be honest. Hey, look, I appreciate you taking the call and you've been really polite with me. From what you've described, you're 100% right. This probably isn't the best fit for you, but I'd love to stay in touch. Can I connect with you on LinkedIn? Boom, done and dusted. We're constantly, as salespeople, having to ask questions and use these big things on the side of our ears to listen. Anna, thanks so much for the question here, Anna. What do I do if a lead seems qualified but keeps delaying the decision? Now, I think when that happens, once again, there might be other things at play. There could be things that are going on behind the scenes. It could be a multitude of options, such as maybe they don't trust you. Maybe they're awaiting a budget to be released. Maybe there's another decision maker we're not aware of. Maybe they're going through a buyout, a takeover. The list goes on, right? We don't know. The only way we will know, once again, it comes down to communication and speaking to our prospect and our lead. So once again, we can ask a question with the words of, absolutely, look, I know you want to kind of put this on hold for a moment. Just so I know, is there anything that I can help out with here? Is there anything I've done wrong here? Is there something maybe you're perhaps, not telling me? We can ask questions that allow that prospect to open up. We need the prospect to open up because once they open up, we know exactly how to solve that problem, right? So don't be afraid to ask questions. And I think if there were like an underlining statement of qualifying, it is that. Don't forget to ask questions. That takes us to another end of our listeners' questions. Really, really appreciate everyone writing in and contacting and all the comments. If you do have a question, get in touch. and I'll be sure to feature them at some stage on the Sales Circle. So we've got about 5 minutes until the end of the podcast. So thank you so much for staying tuned. I'll quickly wrap up with some simple tips and a book recommendation. In this week's book recommendation, we've already recommended this one, but I'd be a fool not to. A Month to Improve Your Sales by moi, by me, by yours truly, Rob Spence. This is a great book. And the reason I wanted to kind of touch upon this again is because it's the start of the new year, right? We are entering into quarter one, and you, no different to I did my arm movements in a completely different manner there, but you no different to I want to improve and increase our sales for the new quarter. We want to hit January so damn hard, and this book will help you do it. It's available on Amazon. You can purchase it there, and as always, I'll drop a link in the comments below. This book is a simple, easy to read sales guide that you can read within 1 month. There's a chapter to read every single day. Each chapter will take you anywhere between about 10 minutes to 20 minutes to read, to digest. There is something in here for everyone. I bet my bottom dollar, if there's not 3 things in here that you can take away, action today, and see an increase in your sales, I'd be heavily surprised. You can see all the chapter titles there if you are watching on YouTube. There's 31 chapters, all of which are designed to help you improve your sales. So whether you're a sales professional, entrepreneur, a sales manager, a sales director, a business owner, a founder, or maybe you're thinking of setting up a business, this book will help you sell more. I'll drop a link in the comments below for you to pick up your own copy. And that takes us to the end of this episode of the Sales Circle. Goodness, these absolutely fly by. I've always made a point that they should only be about 30 minutes long because you're a busy person, I'm a busy person, and we've got about 3 minutes left to hit that target, which is absolutely fantastic. And my intention is that you can listen to these episodes on the way into the office, maybe whilst you're doing some simple admin work, maybe on the way to a prospect, or even whilst you're doing some housework at home. I can't thank you enough for listening into these episodes or watching them over on YouTube if you are. Just as a reminder, these episodes come out every Thursday and designed to help you improve your sales. Today, we've talked about qualifying. We have shared loads of hints, loads of tips, loads of methods to help you qualify prospects. If you qualify prospects well enough, you can focus your energy and attention on those that truly want to buy from you, thus saving you more time to focus on the golden eggs that will keep producing for you. Now, what are you waiting for? Get out there and start making more sales. If you don't make 10 cold calls today, you're an absolute fool. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sales Circle. Hit that follow, hit that subscribe, and until next time, all the best. And that's it for another episode of the Sales Circle. Make sure you hit that follow button, join us over on social media, and we'll see you next week.